Africans had their own way of defining beauty before slavery. They defined beauty through culture, where hair played a role in their way of life. Hairstyles in Black culture, roots in West Africa, Nigeria. The discovery of terracotta sculptures of Nok civilization by Colonel Dent Young in 1928 revealed to have cornrow pattern hairstyles. In African tribes, hair was a heritage symbol, used as a communication tool. It defined age, marital status, job description, and social rank in society. When the epidemic of slavery commenced, in slave ships, the heads of slaves were shaved. Erasing their identities, their cultures were lost. On American land, one of the ways Black culture was preserved was through hair. A popular hairstyle among African American slaves was cornrows. When slavery was abolished in 1865, hairstyles evolved, but African Americans faced hate and discrimination. The standard of beauty in America was defined by white Americans. In order for African Americans to work in the corporate industry, they had to straighten their hair just like white Americans. Jobs in pop culture, such as music, were likely to be given to light-skinned African Americans because they were close to fair skin. The role of slavery was taking away African culture and redefining African Americans to suit their beauty and way of life. As a result of racial oppression against African Americans, blackface emerged. It is defined as when a non-black person wears dark or black makeup to appear black. This was implemented for white actors to play black roles, since African Americans weren't granted acting opportunities due to the fact that they were perceived violent. In continuing racial oppression against Black people, another influence which stems from slavery is colorism. According to Alice Walker, it is prejudicial treatment of same-race people solely on their color. During slavery, masters would rape female slaves and they would give birth to light-skinned children who were referred to as house slaves. These house slaves had privileges because of their skin tone. The repetition of this cycle resulted in shifting slaves from their identities. Black people are still brainwashed into thinking European features are more desirable than theirs. When Google searching beauty and professional hair, it is European women and light-skinned Black women. Light-skinned Black women are perceived better than dark-skinned Black women. This is also evident in music videos where light-skinned women are promoted more than dark-skinned women. Also, there is a standard of having a big butt and slim waist. If you don't fit in this box, you are not considered beautiful. A light-skinned woman does not have to put much effort, whereas a dark-skinned woman has to fit in that box. Colorism denies the dark skin tone and celebrates light skin. In our modern-day society, cultural appropriation has become popular. It is when people borrow practices and appearances that belong to a separate culture and use them as their own for the sake of fashion and trade. It is involved in the assimilation and exploitation of the marginalized and colonized cultures. There are two cultural categories that explain this behavior, which are cultural dominance, which suggests the use of a dominant culture's elements by the subordinated culture, having been imposed upon them by the dominant culture, and cultural exploitation, which suggests the use of subordinated cultural symbols by a dominant culture without any considerable compensation. This trend exists and is continued because of the popular media, since the stories and history of the marginalized is never presented correctly. As a result, media promotes showing cultural appropriation to impose a certain standard of beauty to the same group of people it appropriated that particular element from.